What do you do when the HOA president calls the cops on you in your own home? You expose her entire empire. This is Riseful because justice deserves a mic. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe the channel, and let's begin. You're trespassing on this property and I'm calling the police right now. That's what our HOA president screamed at my wife while she was just watering flowers in our own front yard. Within minutes, 4 squad cars rolled up surrounding our lakefront home, like we were suspects in a hostage crisis. This woman thought she'd found the ultimate way to scare us into leaving. She had no idea she'd just pulled the pin on the wrong grenade. You never know how strong someone is until you back them into a corner. Some people own homes, others defend them. You don't start a war with someone who builds legal traps for fun. Karen didn't realize the front yard she attacked was our battlefield. C. We thought we were buying into a dream. Miller Lake community with its crystal clear waters and flawless landscaping seemed like the perfect fresh start. Emily had been searching for 5 years. When we found this place, it felt like fate. We didn't know paradise came with a dictator. Key neighborhood was perfect, until its queen tried to burn our castle down. But here's the truth about tyrants. They always mistake kindness for weakness. And Dolores Abernathy was about to learn that lesson the hard way just a few months back. Emily and I bought our dream home at Miller Lake. Price tag, $800,000. Every cent of our savings. A 30-year mortgage. Emily had found the listing, closed the deal, and poured her whole soul into it. She's an interior designer and this house was her masterpiece. Panoramic lake views, sun-drenched, workspace, open plan, perfection. But there was one detail we didn't think twice about until it exploded in our faces. The deed was in Emily's name only. Not because of relationship drama, because she earned this. She negotiated the deal. She won us our future. I figured, let her own it completely. We didn't realize that very detail would become a loaded weapon. The first week was bliss. Emily spent her days arranging furniture and sketching designs on the porch. I manned the grill, breathing in lake air like medicine. Morning coffees, sunset walks, laughter echoing across the shoreline. We'd lie in bed and she'd whisper, "Can you believe this is really ours?" We were floating. It was the best week of our marriage, but every fairy tale has a witch, and ours wore heels. That Tuesday, while Emily was planting her favorite pink roses, a shadow passed over our gate. Enter Dolores Abernathy, age 58, hair platinum, bob perfect curl, outfit, a black power suit straight off the set of a political thriller. She introduced herself with sugar in her voice. "Hi there, dear. I'm Dolores, head of HOA compliance. Welcome to Miller Lake." Her smile never touched her eyes, and those eyes, scanning our yard like a drone. She noticed everything: the fence color, the mailbox, even the position of our flat. Then she struck, "Oh, pink roses. I hope you consulted section 8D of our landscaping color chart. We keep a very curated aesthetic here." Emily, always kind, smiled and said, "Oh, I didn't realize. Thank you. I'll check it out." Dolores's face froze into corporate ice. "Of course you will, dear. Everyone new needs a learning curve." And then I saw it. Her eyes landed on our mailbox in Emily's name. She mentally filed it away like ammunition. After she left, Emily wrapped her arms around herself and said, "Honey, something about her felt off. Did you see the way she looked at our home, like she was auditing it?" I tried to comfort her. "She's probably just a rule stickler. If we follow the HOA guidelines, everything will be fine." To this day, I wish I could take those words back. We had no idea we'd just shaken hands with the queen of control, a woman who saw our joy as a threat. A few days later, we threw a small housewarming, 10 friends, acoustic music, barbecue. Emily was glowing, floating through the house, giving little tours. I was on the grill, cracking dad jokes. The lake shimmered behind us like something from a movie. Kids were skipping. Stone's adults were raising toasts. And for a few hours we felt truly finally at home. Then at 8:45 p.m. she appeared. Dolores. No knock, no greeting, just a sudden appearance at our gate like a ghost in heels. She shoved it open like she owned the property. Stilettos clicking down our walkway like gunfire. Well, she said, her voice booming across the yard. "Looks like our new neighbors need a refresher course on community etiquette." One by one, porch lights blinked on around the block. Curtains parted, faces emerged. She didn't walk in like a neighbor. She invaded like a tyrant. In that moment I realized we weren't living in a community, we were living in her kingdom. Our backyard wasn't just grass, it was a battlefield now. She didn't come to talk, she came to conquer. "I assume you reviewed our noise regulations?" she asked, like a prosecutor mid-trial. And just like that, our peaceful evening turned into the opening shot of a war. She kept going, dripping with venomous condescension. "Or perhaps you think some people are just above the rules." Emily immediately turned off the music, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'll turn it down right now." But Dolores wasn't done. She scanned our setup like a health inspector on a mission. HOAs were meant to protect communities, not terrorize them. I also noticed unapproved outdoor lighting, a questionable food service area, And multiple parking violations, she continued. She jabbed a finger toward our friend's Honda. That vehicle is parked 12 centimeters outside the designated zone. Laughter died. Conversations froze. The air turned icy with secondhand shame. Our friends glanced at each other, uncomfortable and unsure. Dolores delivered her final blow like a curse. Perhaps next time you'll consider your neighbors those who actually understand proper community behavior. And then she stood there for 18 agonizing minutes, not speaking, not smiling, just watching. Every laugh got a glare. Every word felt monitored. Finally the witch turned on her heels and left, but not before delivering her parting shot. I do hope your future gatherings demonstrate better awareness. The party died on impact. Our closest friends suddenly had morning plans and forgotten obligations. Within 30 minutes, the guest was gone. Emily locked herself in the bathroom and sobbed. I spent weeks planning this, she whispered through the door. I just wanted to share our happiness. And now I feel like a criminal in my own backyard. That night, lying in bed in total silence, she whispered again, what if we made a mistake buying this place? Instead of saying we'd fight, Emily gave in. I'll learn the rules. We'll keep our heads down. Sometimes the worst kind of prison has no bars, just a picket fence and a board of directors. Over the next few days, things got creepier. We started noticing patterns. Dolores drove past our home multiple times per day, slowing, staring, taking mental inventory. She parked across the street, made long phone calls while glaring at our windows, and scribbled into a leather-bound notebook. Emily, who had once thrown open every curtain in the morning, now kept them tightly shut. I feel like we're living in a fishbowl, she said, watching Dolores's third slow drive-by that day. We didn't know it yet. But this wasn't just about rules. It was the start of a psychological siege, a slow-motion campaign to erase us. You can fight a monster you can see, but how do you fight one that uses paperwork as a weapon? On Monday morning, it began. Administrative terrorism. Every single day brought new HOA violations. Each letter came with embossed letterhead, red stamps, and Dolores's pristine signature. Monday 8 a.m. violation. Grass height exceeds standard by 4 millimeters. Fine, $200. Deadline 48 hours. Wednesday 7 a.m. violation. Exterior paint deviates from approved ivory pearl. Fine, $350. Deadline 72 hours. Friday 6 a.m. violation. Non-compliant lighting fixture model. Fine, $400. Deadline 24 hours. Sunday 8 a.m. violation. Vehicle parked 18 centimeters outside designated boundary. Fine, $300. Deadline 48 hours. Towing authorized. Tuesday 7 a.m. violation. Garden aesthetics disruptive to community value. Fine, $250. Deadline 36 hours. Mandatory removal. Each letter read like legal doom. The tone was cold, calculated, designed to break spirits in bank accounts. Emily crumbled under the pressure. She lost 7 pounds in 3 weeks. Dark circles formed under her eyes. She flinched at every sound, checking the mailbox like it held a bomb. Fear doesn't always shout. Sometimes it arrives in envelopes. I feel like I'm failing at everything, she told me one night. Why can't I get this right? We had already spent $2,600 in the first month. Landscapers with rulers, fence repainted to match exact shades, new light fixtures installed, parking lines repainted with surveyor-level accuracy. We were prisoners in our perfect dream. One evening I found Emily on the kitchen floor, surrounded by 23 violation letters. She wasn't crying. She was empty, hollow, like someone had sucked the life out of her. I used to fantasize about this view, she said faintly, looking at the lake. I'd design by this window, sip wine at sunset, host weekend barbecues. Now I can't even look outside without panicking. I'm terrified of planting flowers, afraid to park the car. I feel scared just existing in my own house. I knelt beside her, gathering the letters. This isn't normal, I said. This isn't what neighborhoods are supposed to be. Shmei looked up with exhausted, glassy eyes. Then came the words that shattered me. Maybe we should just sell, cut our losses, before she ruins us completely. I can't fight her anymore, Mark. I just can't. That was the moment it finally clicked. This wasn't about compliance. This wasn't about standards. It was psychological warfare, targeted, ruthless, and expertly executed. Emily wasn't weak. She was being broken methodically by a sociopathic control freak. And I had been helping her do it by telling Emily to stay small and play nice. That night, as Emily whispered about selling the house, our phone rang. The timing was so perfect. It chilled my blood. I picked up. Hello. That voice, the sugar-coated menace I'd come to dread, oozed through the speaker. Good evening, Mark. Dolores here. I couldn't help but notice you and Emily seem rather overwhelmed. She paused theatrically. I completely understand. Transitioning into a real community can be quite difficult for certain types. Then her voice dropped into a whisper sharp enough to cut steel. I've been reviewing your deed records. Interesting, don't you think, that only Emily's name appears? Highly unusual for such a high-value property. My stomach turned to stone. She'd been digging into our private life, our finances, our legal documents. You know, she purred. I once knew a young woman in a similar situation. Thought she owned her home outright. Turned out there were complications. Legal issues. Fraud even. Authorities don't take kindly to that. Emily sat frozen, pale as porcelain. People start asking how someone with limited financial history acquired such a property. Questions are raised. Investigations begin. I'd hate for Emily to lose everything because of a misunderstanding. Then, like a snake coiling back into the darkness, she hissed her final blow. But I'm sure you have nothing to worry about. I trust Emily fully understands all her legal responsibilities as sole owner. If not, well, the community has ways of protecting itself from problem residents. Clicked on. Emily grabbed my arm, trembling. What does she mean, Mark? Can she challenge the deed? What if there's something wrong and we don't even know it? I wrapped her in my arms. Our documentation is airtight, I said. She's bluffing. She wants us to break so she never has to get her hands dirty. But the seed had been planted. Emily stayed up all night, researching property laws and deed loopholes. She found nightmare stories, families losing homes, from technicalities, forged documents, legal ambushes, *, the scariest monsters don't live in forests, they live in bylaws and board meetings. She didn't need to take our house, she just had to make us fear we'd lose it. Some people burn bridges. Dolores built them just to watch you fall off. *, and just like that, our dream home had become a minefield. Mark, look at this. It was 3 a.m., and Emily spun her laptop toward me, her eyes wide with fear. This family in Texas lost their house because someone challenged the deed over a clerical error from 30 years ago. The deeper she read, worse it got. She began spiraling, questioning every part of our purchase process. Did the real estate agent overlook something? Was the title insurance legit? Were there undisclosed liens hiding in the fine print? I found her crying over property law blogs. Convinced Dolores knew something, some fatal flaw in our ownership that would destroy us. The psychological warfare was doing its job exactly how Dolores intended. She was turning Emily's mind into a courtroom of paranoia. But the next morning, Emily changed. I'm done being scared. She doesn't get to win. If she wants a war, she picked the wrong woman. Fear built this cage, but fury is how we break out. That was the day Emily stopped trembling and started fighting. And when Emily gets angry, she becomes unstoppable. What we didn't know, Dolores had secrets, dark ones, and she was terrified we'd uncover them. Never corner someone whose only remaining option is to expose the truth. After that threatening phone call, I made a decision that shifted everything. We weren't running, we weren't hiding, we were going to war. My battle plan was strategic: install cameras to document every act of harassment, research HOA records and uncover Dolores's actual authority, find allies, there had to be other victims, prepare evidence for legal detonation if necessary. Emily was reborn as a force of nature. I'm documenting everything now, every violation, every lie, every inch of this war zone. And just 48 hours after we installed our cameras, we struck gold. Footage showed Dolores dumping her kitchen trash at our front gate, then calling someone to report us for property neglect. She framed us for garbage she had dumped, but that wasn't the biggest reveal. The footage also caught something else, something off about her own backyard. I reviewed the video, pulled up old community records, and began to see it. Her backyard didn't match the maps. Bit by bit, the realization hit. Dolores had illegally expanded her property 6 feet beyond her legal boundary, stealing community land. I needed confirmation. That's when I met David Martinez, retired high school principal, age 68, a neighbor who had always given us quiet sympathy but never dared speak. That day, at the community office, David approached me like a man smuggling secrets out of a dictatorship. "You're investigating Dolores, aren't you?" His voice was a whisper wrapped in guilt. I played it safe. "Just reviewing community policies." He looked around, leaned in. "I've been waiting 5 years for someone brave enough to stand up to that woman. Silence can be a survival tactic, but eventually someone has to speak." David's story was heartbreaking. He'd watched 12 families get driven out by Dolores. The Smiths, fined into bankruptcy, forced to sell at 40% below value. The Johnsons, their autistic son's behavior cited in violation letters until they moved across the country. "She targets the vulnerable," David said. "Single moms, elderly folks, young families without legal muscle." I stayed quiet because my wife was dying of cancer. I didn't want to add stress to her final months, but that silence, it cost people everything. Then, with trembling hands, he passed me a USB drive. 5 years of evidence, videos, fake violations, financial records, stuff I was too scared to use when she was alive. She broke them with bylaws and bank statements, but she broke me with my own silence. Emily and I plugged in the USB that night. It was worse than we imagined. One video dated 2019 captured Dolores's backyard during landscaping. At first, it looked normal, but matched with the original 2016 maps. The truth surfaced. She'd stolen 6 feet of community land. No permits, no approvals, no record. Just stolen, then hidden for years. But David had more. "Look at these," he said, laying out spreadsheets he'd tracked for years. Each month the HOA paid massive invoices to the same contractor, Greenscape Property Services. Guess who owned it? Dolores Abernathy. Her son. Fraud, embezzlement, clear as day. Pool maintenance, normal $2,000. She paid $6,500. Landscaping, normal $3,500. She paid $8,200. Tree removal, normal $4,000. She paid $11,000. Irrigation repair, normal $1,800. She paid $5,300. Total theft over 4 years, $47,000. Stolen from all of us. Emily was stunned. Wait, so while she's writing us up for parking violations, she's embezzling from the whole community? I nodded. She's a predator, and predators always deflect guilt by pointing fingers first, David added. She's done this before. Targets newcomers, makes noise. It keeps everyone too distracted or afraid to notice what she's really doing. Now we had everything. Footage of her dumping trash and calling false reports, proof of illegal land expansion, financial fraud benefiting her son, audio of her threatening residents, forged documents, HOA vote manipulation. The final nail, a recording of Dolores bragging, "I'm cleaning this place up, getting rid of the undesirables." David's voice shook. "My wife always said, evil wins when good people do nothing. I did nothing for too long, but now I'm in." She thought she was untouchable. But monsters don't stay hidden. When cameras start rolling, things shifted immediately. Dolores sensed it. We weren't scared anymore. David was talking to us in broad daylight, her iron grip cracking. And desperate people make reckless decisions. The Friday before what would become the incident, Dolores panicked. She called every board member in a frenzied campaign of deflection. "The Johnson situation is out of control," she said in nearly identical calls. "I suspect financial fraud or even identity theft." She was planting fear, twisting Emily's single-name ownership into a potential crime. Young woman, no financial history, $800,000 property. It smells like money laundering. Her plan: use a false trespassing claim based on ownership ambiguity, call the police, trigger a legal nightmare, force us out without getting her hands dirty. It was insane. But Dolores wasn't playing by sane rules anymore. Sunday, 8:23 a.m. The perfect morning. Emily hummed softly while watering herbs in our front yard. I was flipping pancakes, sunlight glowing on the lake like glass. Classical music playing softly from the kitchen window for the first time in months. Peace had returned, then it shattered. Sirens louder than thunder. 2 police cruisers screeched to a halt in front of our home. Emergency lights washed the street in red and blue. 4 officers stepped out, hands near weapons, faces unreadable. Doors slammed open across the neighborhood. Phones came out. Everyone started recording. It didn't matter that we'd done nothing wrong. The scene was already a crime in their eyes. All it took was one powerful lie from the right mouth to turn our quiet morning into a televised ambush. And just like that, our peaceful home turned into ground zero. We watched from our kitchen window as neighbors poured out of their homes like ants from a kicked-over mound. Sergeant Rodriguez approached Emily, his tone crisp with official purpose. "Ma'am, we've received a report of trespassing on this property. Are you Emily Johnson?" Emily stood frozen, garden hose still running, soaking her sneakers. "Yes, I'm Emily. What's going on? What's wrong?" His next words sliced the air like ice. "We need to verify your legal right to occupy this residence." I bolted outside in my pajama pants, pancake batter drying on my fingers. "Officers, this is our house. We live here. What's happening?" That's when the devil herself appeared. Dolores emerged from behind the patrol cars like she'd staged the whole thing, herself wearing a black power suit and wielding a leather briefcase, already recording with her phone. This was her red carpet moment, and she was milking it. Some villains don't hide in shadows. They show up with paperwork, a fake smile, and a camera. "Thank you for responding so quickly, officers," she declared, loud enough for every porch and camera to hear. "As head of community compliance, I have serious concerns about unauthorized occupancy of this property." She dove into a carefully rehearsed monologue with the elegance of a Broadway villain. "Emily Johnson has no legal claim to this residence. A single name on an $800,000 deed. With her credit history, it screams fraud." The neighborhood was now a stage. Over 40 residents watched, phones out. One teen was live streaming, viewer count climbing. 47, 112, 289. Emily was trembling, but under pressure she didn't break. "Officer, I have every legal document inside. May I retrieve them under your supervision?" Rodriguez nodded. Moments later, Emily returned with everything. Original deed, county seal, intact, signed, purchase contract, bank, mortgage approval, home insurance, tax records, HOA membership confirmation. Sergeant Rodriguez reviewed each page like a forensic examiner. Called the county. Compared signatures under sunlight. Those 10 minutes dragged like hours. Whispers rose from the crowd. Some looked horrified, others looked ashamed, and Dolores, her confidence cracked, her smile twisted into panic. Finally, Rodriguez spoke loud and clear. Ms. Johnson, all documentation is verified and in perfect legal order. You are the undisputed owner of this residence. Then he turned, eyes sharp with restrained anger. Ma'am, he said to Dolores, filing false police reports is a criminal offense. This claim was malicious, unfounded, and appears designed to intimidate. That's when Dolores snapped. When narcissists lose control, they don't apologize, they detonate. No, you're wrong. There's fraud here, I know it, she shrieked. Search the house. Interrogate them. You're incompetent if you can't see what's obvious. She pointed at the officers, voice rising to glass-shattering pitch. This is my neighborhood. I make the rules. I decide what's legitimate. The crowd recoiled, boos, gasps, whispers of she's lost it. David stepped forward like an angel from the chaos. Officers, he said calmly, I have 5 years of video evidence documenting systematic harassment by this woman. The live stream view account soared, 2,000, then 5,800. Dolores' meltdown was going viral in real time. Rodriguez turned once more. Ms. Abernathy, continued harassment or false reports will result in your immediate arrest. Dolores screamed in defiance. You can't threaten me. I am the authority. But the police cars pulled away, and the neighbors began drifting toward us, humbled, apologetic. We had no idea it was this bad. You shouldn't have had to go through this alone. She's been out of control for years. But Emily's question cut deeper than anything. This isn't over, is it? I wrapped my arm around her shoulders and gave her the truth. No, she just declared war in front of the entire neighborhood. But now we finish this. If they break you with lies, destroy them with the truth, the fallout. Nuclear. The teen's livestream hit 127,000 views in under 24 hours. The comment section was an outrage explosion. This Karen needs jail time. HOAs are legalized terrorism. Get her OFF that board now. This is psychological abuse. Call the FBI. Local news picked it up fast. HOA president falsely calls police on legal homeowner. Channel 7 ran a full segment. They filmed Emily standing proudly on our front lawn saying, we came here to live in peace. But one person used power to terrorize everyone. That ends now. And something amazing happened. The silence broke. Neighbors started speaking. David organized a meeting at the rec center and 43 families showed up. That's more than every meeting combined in 5 years. The electricity in the room was real. People realized they weren't alone. They weren't crazy. And someone had finally stood up to the bully. One voice becomes an avalanche when it's echoed by the truth. David took the mic, voice firm. This ends tonight. No more fear, no more silence. It's time we take our community back. Then the testimonies began. Lisa Morgan, she to find us $2,000 because our Christmas decorations weren't culturally neutral. My kids cried taking them down. Mike Torres. She made us tear down our kids' swing set. Said it ruined neighborhood symmetry. Sarah Kim. She harassed my 70-year-old mother for planting vegetables instead of flowers. Made her cry for gardening. James Wilson. She blocked us from installing a wheelchair ramp for my disabled dad. Said it would lower property values. He felt wise. It was a flood of injustice. Every story more gut-wrenching than the last dot. Then it was my turn. I stood in front of the projector. Time for the truth bomb. Dolores Abernathy isn't just power-hungry, she's a criminal. I laid it all out. Screenshots of inflated invoices, spreadsheet proof, side-by-side comparisons, $47,000 stolen, Greenscape Property Services, owned by her son Marcus. They billed triple for everything. The math was undeniable. Your HOA dues funded her family's bank account. The room erupted. Then came the land theft. Aerial photos from 2016 versus 2021. She'd stolen 6 feet of community land, falsified the records, hid the evidence. Just as fury peaked, the doors burst open. Dolores stormed in, power suit, briefcase, shaking voice behind a brittle smile. Ladies and gentlemen, I see the troublemakers are busy spreading vicious lies. The room turned hostile. Jeers, shouts, get out. But she doubled down. Mark Johnson and his criminal conspirators are fabricating this out of bitterness. And you, she pointed at David, venom in her voice, you're using your dead wife for pity while attacking the leadership protecting your community. That's when David rose. With pure, quiet fire. My wife's final months were filled with stress because of your cruelty. But you will not destroy anyone else. The room erupted into a 2-minute standing ovation. Dolores was done, when Sarah Kim waved a bank statement and shouted, then explained why our violation fines were deposited into your personal account. The walls of her empire began to crumble in real time. She ruled by fear, but we reclaimed our peace with the truth. The end of a tyrant always begins with someone saying, enough. Mike Torres held up a stack of invoices, voice shaking with fury. Explain why your son charged $800 to trim 3 bushes. Lisa Morgan stood, tears in her eyes. Explain why you tried to have an innocent family arrested in their own home. The vote was swift, unanimous 43-0. The community's resolutions were passed without hesitation. Dolores Abernathy removed from all HOA positions effective immediately. A full financial audit of all HOA accounts to begin within 24 hours. A criminal fraud complaint filed with the county prosecutor. Dolores' illegal property expansion to be reversed within 30 days. All victims compensated from recovered funds. Dolores' final words were pure, trembling desperation. You'll all regret this. I'll sue every single one of you. This community will collapse without my leadership. David's response: legendary. Ma'am, this community will finally thrive without your tyranny. The room erupted in applause, cheers, tears, handshakes, hugs. 10 minutes of cathartic, full-throated freedom. Dolores gathered her briefcase with trembling hands. Her face, rage behind humiliation. As she passed our table, she hissed, "This isn't over. You have no idea what you've unleashed. I'll make this entire neighborhood pay for this betrayal." David stood tall. Calm, deliberate. "Ma'am, those sound like threats, and we have 43 witnesses." Dolores froze, then fled the room in silence, her power disintegrating behind her. The aftermath. The scene outside felt like a block party born from revolution. Neighbors hugged, kids ran free. People who hadn't spoken in years shared stories and made plans. Sarah Kim passed around a sign-up sheet for a volunteer-led leadership transition. Mike Torres drafted new bylaws focused on transparency and due process. Lisa Chen proposed a celebratory BBQ to mark the end of the reign of fear. When bullies fall, communities rise. But what price does a fallen tyrant really pay? The fall of Dolores Abernathy's media coverage grew daily. Each headline, a dagger to her ego. HOA president embezzled $47,000. False police report backfires in Miller Lake. Residents overthrow neighborhood tyrant. The county prosecutor filed charges. Embezzlement of HOA funds, falsifying official documents, property fraud, harassment filing, false police reports. 14 families filed civil lawsuits for emotional trauma, financial damage, and punitive compensation. Her son Marcus, also under criminal investigation. Greenscape Property Services collapsed, every contract cancelled, refunds demanded. Business ruined. Her legal costs ballooned, $85,000 plus in attorney fees, $47,000 in court-ordered restitution, $180,000 plus in civil claims, $15,000 in property restoration. Total liability over $300,000. Her financial reality: $450,000 home with $320,000 still owed, $23,000 in savings, $67,000 in retirement accounts. Even liquidating everything, she was over $80,000 short. 2 months later, the final justice arrived. A bank foreclosure notice posted on her front door, a default on mortgage sign wilted in the lawn where she once enforced perfection with threats. Her final exit. Moving day felt like tragic theater. Dolores packed a rental truck alone. No friends, no family, no help, no sympathy. Her designer furniture and fine clothes, symbols of power, reduced 2 cardboard boxes in the dirt. I watched from the deck, and for a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She approached Emily one final time. My wife stood barefoot in the soil, watering her garden, those same pink roses that started the war, now blooming freely. "I wanted to say something," Dolores said, voice brittle and hushed. "I used to drive by and see you laughing with your husband, happy, and I'd feel angry that you had what I didn't. I thought if I couldn't be happy, no one else should be either." Her voice broke. "I'm sorry for everything, for all of it." Emily, somehow still gracious, replied with compassion that Dolores never earned, "I hope you find peace, Mrs. Abernathy, and I hope next time you find happiness without hurting other people." Dolores nodded, tears streaking her powdered face, and she climbed into the truck and disappeared from Miller Lake forever. Emily whispered as the truck vanished down the road, "It's finally over. She can't hurt anyone anymore." Miller Lake became what we always dreamed it could be. David Martinez, once silent, now elected HOA president, his leadership now a force for good. Emily, as treasurer, assuring in true financial transparency. Torres, as secretary, ensuring clear records and fairness. Sarah Kim, as compliance officer, replacing fear with reason. New policies were implemented. Public monthly spending reports, resident voting required for major decisions, a fair appeals process for violations, a welcome committee for new families, zero tolerance for harassment or discrimination. This wasn't just a vote, it was a revolution in neighborhood values. The Thompsons bought Dolores' foreclosed home and filled it with joy block parties, garden clubs, game nights. Emily's transformation was nothing short of heroic. From victim to pillar, she now chairs the neighbor support network, helping newcomers transition with kindness. "Sometimes you have to fight for your right to be happy," she told me at one of our community barbecues, "and when you stand, but you give others permission to stand up, too." Our home, once the center of conflict, became a hub of peace and creativity. Emily's interior design business exploded. Clients admired her courage and wanted that same spirit reflected in their homes. She designed everything from local schools to community centers and now consults on HOA reform across the state. 1 year later, we sit on the dock, watching the lake shimmer with gold and pink. Emily leans into me and asks, "Do you ever regret fighting instead of just leaving?" I kiss her forehead. Never, because we didn't just save our home. We saved everyone's. We toast with wine glasses under a lavender sky, to defeating tyrants, to building real community, to peace that's earned. Sometimes the greatest revenge is living the life they tried to take from you. ****. If this story fired you up, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and drop your own HOA war story below. And don't forget to subscribe for more unfiltered truth from Riseville. Till then, take care and bye-bye.